Today, we are diving into a pretty chilling vision of the future, a concept called technofeudalism. And we're going to look at this really controversial idea that universal basic income, something that sounds like a great safety net, might actually be a trap.
So let's just start with a question that cuts right to the chase. You think you're a free citizen? Because the argument we're exploring today suggests that in the future we might be building, you're not governed by a democratic state, you're governed by an algorithm.
And that brings us right to the main event, technofeudalism. So what is it? Well, imagine a system where giant corporations, not elected governments, hold all the real power. They're not just selling you stuff anymore, they're actually governing society because they have absolute control over all our data and all our tech.
Now, universal basic income, UBI, right? A lot of people see this as the solution for a future where robots and AI take all the jobs. It's pitched as this incredible promise of freedom from poverty. But, and this is the core idea of this whole explainer, what if that guaranteed income is actually the bait in the ultimate trap?
To really understand how this trap would work, we have to look at the new power structure that's kind of emerging all around us. So, let's kick things off with the rise of the data lords and this brand new digital class system they're building.
So in this system, you've got a new elite popping up. But they're not kings or nobles. They're a data aristocracy. This tiny group of people who own the AI, the algorithms, the whole automation shebang. And by controlling the tech, they basically become the new feudal lords, with just staggering amounts of wealth and power.
And the fallout from this kind of power shift, it's huge. The source material we're looking at makes a really startling claim that traditional democracy, as we know it, could become totally obsolete. And get this, maybe as soon as 2030.
This chart here just lays it all out, and it's a real gut punch. In a democracy, right, our rulers are elected, laws are public, and they're accountable to us, the voters. But in techno-feudalism, the rulers are unelected CEOs and the algorithms they create. The laws are just corporate terms of service that you click agree to. And accountability? It's not to citizens anymore. It's only to shareholders.
So if that's the new power structure, what's life like for everybody else? That brings us to our next part, life on the digital farm. And this is where we see how UBI becomes the ultimate tool for surveillance and, control. You can't have data lords without serfs. And in this world, the vast majority of us become digital serfs. We're all completely dependent on a UBI payment to survive. But here's the twist. It's not paid in dollars or euros. It's paid in a digital currency that's controlled by the corporation itself. And this is exactly how that control works. It's a closed loop. Step 1, you get your UBI. But step 2, you can only spend it on approved stuff. Every single thing you buy generates data about you. That data feeds an algorithm that updates your personal social score. And that score, it determines how much money you get in your next UBI payment. If you're compliant, you're rewarded. If you step out of line, they can punish you financially instantly.
You know that old saying, the road to hell is paved with good intentions? It's like it was written for this exact scenario. UBI starts as this wonderful idea to solve poverty and give people freedom. But without some seriously strong democratic guardrails, it could become the very thing that enslaves us. The price of convenience, it seems, might just be our liberty.
Okay, so this brings us to our final section. This isn't just some grim sci-fi story, it's a warning, and it leaves us with some really urgent questions that we all need to start thinking about. This is a debate for our future.
First up, the exit clause. And I want you to really think about this. If your ability to buy food is tied to a corporate currency and a behavioral score, what happens to your right to protest? I mean, how can you possibly dissent if they can just turn off your wallet with the flick of a switch?
Okay, next question. The new law. This one's about getting specific. What's the first domino you think will fall? What single democratic institution that we count on today, a court, a regulatory agency, whatever, do you think will be functionally replaced by a corporate AI in the next few years? All right, now for a personal one. Data loyalty. Let's make this real. What's your price? Would you take, say, a 20% bigger UBI check every month if it meant you had to sign away every last bit of your personal data? Forever? Be honest with yourself. And let's say this system starts to take over. Where does the opposition even come from? The resistance? Do you think it will be our traditional governments, which in this world are basically hollowed-out shells? Or will the real fight come from the outside, from anonymous hacker groups and digital rebels.
And finally, just a thought to leave you with. We've been warned about futures like this in science fiction for decades. So which story do you think really nailed the specific kind of dystopia we've been talking about? Is it something like the corporate-run world of cyberpunk, or the total surveillance of Minority Report? The questions we're asking now, and the answers we come up with, they might just decide the kind of future we actually get.